everyone, welcome back to Eye for Makeup. Thank you for joining me today. Today's video will be on what is the best blush technique or blush application for your face shape. We all heard about what's the best eyebrow shape to do with your face shape, but not too much, I don't hear much about the blush part. So for me, I have more of like a angled, slightly roundish face. So I always like to do my blush a certain way. So altogether there are 4 categories I'm going to talk about. They're going to be round, oval, heart, or square. With each of those categories to help guide you into figuring out what would be your face shape, I have some celebrity examples for each of them. I'm going to also pick a couple of blushes that are my favorites. Okay, the first shape I'm going to do is if you have a round face. I have a mix of round and square face, so that's the one that I like to personally use. That's the technique I love using. It's sort of a contouring technique, so if your face is round, you kind of want to add some dimension, add some contour to it. So I use my blush as my contouring powder. Some of the popular celebrities that you may associate a round face with is Chrissy Teigen and Kelly Clarkson. So when I'm applying this kind of technique, I like to have an angled brush, something like this, a little bit more tapered, and I don't like bigger brushes because it just creates like a big round mess here. So something that's a little bit more pinched, like this size would be great. I also like to go for a color that has a little bit of a bronzing tone to it. So the one I'm using is the NYX Solstice blush. It's a baked blush actually, bronzer and blush, so 2 in 1. You can still see there's some peachy tones in it, so it's a great blush. So just applying some, tapping off the excess. Just gonna distribute most of the color towards this part right underneath the cheekbone, and then I'm going to drag it up towards the temple. Okay, on to the second face shape. The second face shape is the oval face, or slightly longer face. So a long face is more, vertical. So in order to counteract that, we want something to direct our attention horizontally, which makes sense because the way I like to apply the blush is to go this way, so a little bit more horizontal. Obviously not just a straight line, but something more subtle. The brush I'm going to use is something, it's just a simple, this is your typical blush brush, a good size, nothing too large. Once again, you don't want to distribute too much to that area. So the blush I'll be using for this one is the Tarte. This is also one of my favorite blushes. It's a Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush in Parté. So just going to take some, dab up the excess again, and just horizontal. So kind of right along, a little bit on just on the apples of the cheeks, but horizontal. Not underneath like earlier when it comes to contouring. Don't forget to blend. Blending is so important. Sometimes I just like to use a bigger brush to slightly blend it, or I just gently blend off the edges. There you go. Some of the celebrities that have this face shape are Jessica Alba and Blake Lively. If you have a heart-shaped face, some of the celebrities that have this face shape in reference would be Jennifer Love Hewitt and Reese Witherspoon. They're the classic epitome of a heart-shaped face. So what you would typically see with people with heart-shaped face is that they have a wider forehead, higher cheekbones, and a pointed chin. So in order to kind of counteract those features, simple, rounded, I see Reese Witherspoon do this a lot actually, just a circle, a little bit of a rounded blush application on the apples of the cheeks or slightly just below the apples of the cheeks. So nothing dragging this way or that way, it's just something to kind of soften up all the strong features. So the blush I'm using today for this heart-shaped face is going to be a classic MAC blush. It's a mineralized blush in Warm Soul. I think it's one of a lot of people's favorite. And I'm going to apply it with the same brush I used earlier for the oval face. For this one, I like to do little circles and just build your way up. Start with little, because if you put too much, it just looks like two red dots on your face like a clown. So just slowly build up. There you go. Okay, if you haven't fallen into any of those categories yet, hopefully this last category will be for you. It's the square-faced. So, celebrity reference to a square-faced face shape would be Olivia Wilde and one of my Asian favorite actresses, Lucy Liu. So, for this face shape, you have very strong square kind of defined jawline, very defined cheeks as well, and then so the whole thing about the defined forehead and the defined jawline is to soften it. So I like to use a different brush for someone with a square face, and also a blush that has kind of that does two things. It kind of highlights it at the same time. The blush I'm going to use today is the NARS Orgasm Blush. It's a favorite for a lot of beauty gurus, and it's been around for years. As you all know, when you apply this blush, it actually has a little bit of a sheen in it, which highlights it at the same time. So when it catches the light at the right moment, it gives you a very softened glow. So the blush I'm going to be using is the Real Techniques brush. It's a stippling brush, and you see the size of it is perfect for blush application. So since it's all about softening everything, the way I'm going to apply it is to dab a little bit, and they say to do a figure 8 or a gentle sweeping back and forth motion. So I'm going to try a little bit of that. The figure 8 just makes it easier for you to do it lightly, like really fast, so you don't deposit too much color at once. There you go. It's very subtle and very softened. And there you go. Those are the 4 different face shapes and the 4 techniques that I like to do to flatter those face shapes. Once again, these are just suggestions. They're not, makeup is supposed to be fun. They're just suggestions. They're not rules. You can play with them. You might like a different look. I personally like more of a contoured look than something that's just like very pink and right in the center like a circle. So have fun and experiment. Be sure to check out my video on best eyebrows to fit your face shape as well by clicking over there. And also, if you're interested in how I achieved this look that I have right now, it only took 5 minutes and I've only used 5 products. So it's my everyday routine if I just want the fastest makeup done without looking like I put too much effort. Otherwise, if you haven't already, also click the subscribe button and be sure to check out my website at www.eyeformakeup.com. There's a lot of beauty tips and tricks, a lot of tips on how to keep your makeup on, celebrity looks, and other videos that I might have. So go check that out. Otherwise, have a great day and I'll see you in my next video.